Well, did you catch Kirk Cousins getting his first action of 2025? It was crisis mode in Charlotte for ATL. Michael Penix Jr. benched after putting up a big old goose egg against the Panthers. 2 interceptions, including a pick six. His second straight week, he was held under 200 passing yards. Falcons head coach Raheem Morris said after the game the change was because of the score, but he was asked about Cousins potentially being QB1. Let's just say he was short and sweet.
Why the decision to put Kirk in?
The game was out of hand. You know, you move on, keep them out of harm's way, keep our guys out of harm's way, take a couple guys out. Way to take some of those wideouts out, way to get the young back in, get all those things going. The game's out of hand. They got us.
Will you give Kirk a chance to compete for the job this week?
No.
Told you it was short and sweet right there. No, absolutely not. So let's start right there. I mean, Rand, you've got your head in your hands there. When you look at, I guess, the gamble that they took on Michael Penix, and again, it's still week 3. There's still time to improve. But, I mean, the turnovers, the lack of passing production here, and the head coach vehemently saying no Kirk Cousins. Are you concerned about the Falcons at all?
Yeah, because this quarterback's got to play better. He's got to play better, and he's got to be the one to lead this offense. And we've talked about it, you know, week 1, week 2, about the weapons and the playmakers that he has on this offense. You have one of the better backs. You have one of the better young receivers. You have an athletic tight end that could be a mismatch when he is on. And the offensive line is a fairly solid offensive line that's in front of him. He has to be better. I think last year, we don't talk about it enough, but last year, we talked glowingly about how he ended the season, but he still only completed 58% of his passes, and he's right at that same number so far through 3 games this year. So he has to be better in order for this team to take the next step.
And I'm going to tell you guys a stat, and this sums it all up. The Falcons are 0-4 when Penix starts and their opponents score more than 7 points.
And I'll do you one better. They're 1-4 in his last 5 games started.
And it's just – We're trying to figure out why, right? Because like you said, there's a plethora. You've got riches when it comes to resources. You've got what you need. And to go on the road and lose to a Carolina team by 30 points when their offense only scored 2 touchdowns, that is a huge, huge problem, whether it's turning the ball over, whether it's keeping the ball on your side of the ball with the offense. Just there's a lot of problems going on in Atlanta, and they need to figure them out fast. But it starts with Michael Penix.
Well, and the other part of that is you would think in a game like this where he played so poorly that he was getting just brutalized up front. And you look at it, we watched the game and I didn't see it, and I go look at the stats. There were only 2 quarterback hits on him, and there wasn't a sack. So it's just he's not playing very well. This goes back to last week. He wasn't good in Minnesota either. And so I think there's a problem there. And you mentioned the riches. They talk about Drake London, Robinson in the backfield, Pitts.
We thought Michael Penix could unlock Kyle Pitts this year.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody's unlocking Kyle Pitts. That's part of the problem. But Michael Penix right now, there's major concern, and part of the problem is for all of us. We were all guilty of it. Yeah. We rushed him.
Are you speaking French when you say we?
Yeah, we. I'm trying to figure out who's we.
You thought he was a legitimate NFL starting quarterback after a year.
I took that as media in general. Okay. I didn't take it personally because I know I didn't.
I don't speak French.
Yeah, I didn't say none of that.
You guys didn't think you went into the season thinking he was a legitimate NFL starting quarterback?
Well, I thought he was a starter for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't that high on him coming out.
He was a starter for his team. I mean, there's 32 of those.
I wasn't as high as some of those other guys either, but I was high on Will Levis, by the way.
I was going to say, going to hold you to that.
I was. But the bottom line is he's not playing very well, and that's a big concern if you're the Falcons. And as far as Kirk Cousins, there's bad blood between him and that organization going back to what he said in the offseason. Remember, he kind of threw him under the bus and said, I was hurt. They didn't put me on the report. Teams hate that. You know that. Players calling him out. So there's bad blood there. That's why they held on to him. They could have got rid of him, done him a favor. They held on to him. So you think he's playing? No chance.
Well, I did want to ask you because, I know you spent a lot of time around this game, especially at the national level. And for a guy like Kirk Cousins who has played for so long, made so much money, not to say that he's earned the right to get an opportunity, but if you're a veteran like him, after seeing the performances of Michael Penix, and then your head coach says, absolutely not, I will not give this guy a shot. How do you think Kirk Cousins received that?
Well, he didn't receive it very well, but what's he going to do? He's part of the problem. This problem is in large part because and you know what? He can go rolling his money and have plenty of good time in that.
I would.
I was going to say, or he could give some of it back, and then maybe we can make a better team that way.
Don't get that started.
No, nobody's giving any money back. But here's where it becomes a problem, and you guys can attest to this because you played. If guys in that locker room start looking around saying we should be playing Kirk and not Michael Penix, then you got a problem.
But see, on the flip side of that, how much of a voice will these same players have? Because I'm sure last year they were saying we should play Penix, and it's the back and forth. Here's what it is: you gotta live and die with Michael Penix, right? You took him in the top 10 in the draft for a reason, even after you signed Kirk Cousins. When you signed Kirk Cousins, you paid him that money. Then you take Michael Penix in the top 10. You created this quote unquote mess. Because now you knew at any moment Kirk Cousins played bad, the Falcons fan base and everyone else around is going to want to see Penix. Now you're seeing Penix, and now you have no choice but to live with however he plays, whether it's good or bad.
You're pot committed. You're in. You're all in on Michael Penix. No matter what happens, right now he's the future of the Atlanta Falcons. He has to play out the season to find out what he is. If he stinks this season like he did today, then you have major questions going forward after the season.
Yeah, I think, too, perspective is always really good. I think a lot of times we get so in on these quarterbacks, we have to remember this is his first year as the starter there. I mean, I know he got the end of last year, but a lot to consider there when it is his first year. Let's talk about my Cowboys, guys, because what an embarrassment that game was as they took on the Bears. And it just seems like the more they show the shot of Jerry Jones in the box, and every time Dak is getting sacked or every time the defense is getting run on, all you can think about is, man, we got rid of Micah Parsons for this.
He wouldn't have been saving this team, by the way.
I know, but I feel like, and I'm going to put me in a fan position for a minute, I feel like at the very least I would feel better knowing that we're putting our best foot forward, right? Like, I mean,
I want to back that because whenever you talk to Keyshawn Nixon from the Green Bay Packers, what did he say? We got Micah Parsons. We're going to be fine. So if you're a defensive player for the Cowboys and you lose Micah Parsons, then you're all of a sudden like, oh, wait a minute.
And it wasn't just Micah. I mean, it wasn't just Micah missing too, right? You had the injury to Trey, your bestie Dono, who you love back there in the secondary. It's just not working for Dallas. And I think my question here is when you look at what the Bears were able to do against Dallas, it's another week where the week before it was Russell Wilson looking like an MVP. This week it's Caleb. How concerned should I be, Pete, when I look at this team? Because I felt a little optimistic week one. But like, what's going on with my team?
Do they pour cement in the secondary before the game or something? They don't move. Those guys they're so slow. There's guys wide open. It's amazing to me when I watch them play.
Look at this.
I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row they've been carved to shreds. Now, one of those is a flea flicker, so you got to take that for what it's worth. They caught him off guard, but they made Caleb Williams look good today, really good, and that's sometimes hard to do. So Dallas's defense, look, Micah Parsons, okay, he brings an edge to it. He brings talent. He's a great player. He isn't fixing that on the back end. That's a disaster back there.
Well, it's all tied together, the front end and the back end.
Yeah, but those guys can't cover anybody.
But if the ball's coming out quick,
and
they're opportunistic secondary, being able to jump passes. But now if the quarterback's just back there patting the ball because he's got a lot of time to throw, you got to cover for longer. So then you get exposed for your lack of speed and your cement boots.
No, I get it, but they're bad back there.
Yeah, well, they are. But again, to Rand's point, you go in a game plan as an offense. You know this. If you're going against Micah Parsons, what's the key to the game for the quarterback? Get the ball out of your hands as quick as possible. You can only hope to slow him down. You're not going to be able to block him. You're not going to be able to stop him. Get the ball out of your hands. And that's what has made Dallas's secondary look better than they actually are over the recent years because quarterbacks play with that fear of Micah Parsons.
They are missing Bland too, by the way. That's a big hit.
Missing Bland.
And I think
Trey was hurt. Go ahead.
No, and I'm a point that Damien made earlier today when we were all watching the game. Like as opportunistic as Trayvon Diggs has been in terms of creating takeaways, he's given up a ton of yards as well, but that speaks to what has been in front of him in the pass rush. And as crazy as we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys right now, they still had more yards than the Bears did today. But it was the 4 turnovers that they had on offense that really put them behind the 8 ball in this game. And Pete talked about it, the cement shoes and, the secondary not be. They give up a ton of explosives. And those explosives really flip the field. And so they've given up coming into this game. They had given up 10 explosives in 2 games. And then you go to whatever they did today, which were a ton of explosives, whether it was flea flickers or just big runs or Caleb scrambling, finding guys over the middle. There were even more explosives today. They have to find a way to limit those explosives. You go get Clowney. You have Donovan Ezeraku. You bring back Dante Fowler. They're trying to find guys that are going to be able to get to the quarterback. They just haven't been able to find them.
I digress. Real quick, what about the offense? Because when we talk, I mean, that was supposed to be the bright spot, right?
Well,
and then you had
once
Dak.
Lamb went down, it changes who you are. But Dak actually did some really good stuff today with limited cast around him. I mean, that's tough to do. He played pretty good football.
I would say the
same
same about Javonte Williams. I mean, I know he had the fumble, but I mean, this guy runs hard.
He does run hard.
And it's almost like he's gotten a second life after signing with the Cowboys. And if he can continue to play at the level that he's playing at, showing that toughness, like that can be a tone setter for this offense and show people like we're not just a passing team. We're not just dropping back 4 and looking for 3 or 88. We can run the football. We can line it up and call it and methodically work our way down the field as opposed to Dak always dropping back, looking for a crosser from CD, looking from a comeback from George Pickens on the outside. I mean, when I look at this Cowboys offense, I feel like they're designed for the big play. They're not a team or an offense that is built to go from 20 to 20 and slowly, meticulously be able to beat you and work their way down the field.
But they're going to take the field every week knowing that they got to score 30 points to even have a chance now with the way that defense is playing.
Can we send an IV over to Jake Ferguson?
My boy was tired. I tell you what, he put my fantasy team on his back. I can't wait to see how many points he had.
He looked exhausted.
He did at every moment. Real quick, temperature check on the Bears, guys, because I know that felt like the sky was kind of falling a little bit. Definitely a confidence boost, though, I would say, for Caleb and this team.
Yeah, definitely a confidence boost. I mean, for not only Caleb Williams, but for Ben Johnson as well. I mean, when you look at how he handled his presser after last week talking about Detroit, I mean, you could tell he was frustrated. You could tell he was not happy with the play of his team. And then even doubling down on some of those comments where he talked about, our practice habits aren't good, our players aren't doing this. He looked at himself in the mirror. He's starting to take a little bit more accountability instead of saying the players. He's starting to say we. He's starting to build some confidence in himself, build confidence in his quarterback that he can handle the system that he's putting in front of him. So it's definitely a confidence booster for the Bears. But we do have to keep in mind they just played the Cowboys. So I'm going to give this about a 6 on a confidence boost. Because, again, not great comp.
He emptied the bag today, though. Yep. We got back to being Ben Johnson.
Against the Cowboys.
Two reverses, one late in the game, which he really probably didn't need to call. But he did empty the bag. Kudos to him.
And I do want to say, Luther Burden is finally stepping onto the scene and being the guy that we thought he was going to be coming out of Missouri because we all thought he was going to be a first-round pick. Well, let me not speak French.
We don't speak French
around here. A lot of people thought that Luther Burden was a first-round talent, and there were some things.
No, there were things said.
There were things said about him.
That were true.
True, untrue. I'm not really sure. I wasn't there. But at the end of the day, once he got to the league, he sees his opportunity, and if he can continue to be a weapon for Caleb for Caleb Williams, this can be a dangerous offense with the game plan that Ben Johnson puts in front of him.
Memo to Luther. You haven't arrived. You had a good game. Keep doing what you're doing because there's, that's the Luther does. Luther Burden does that. He thinks he arrived, and you already had the team calling him out in the preseason for not doing the work that he needed to do.
So what would your pep talk be to Jake Browning and the Bengals after they just put up the franchise's worst loss ever?
One game, Jake. It's only one game. You were 4-3 last time you were a starter. It's only one game. And deep down, I'd be telling myself, I know better than that, though, Jake. I hate to tell you that, buddy. I mean, Jake Browning's not very good. He just isn't. Let's be real. He's a backup quarterback.
This one was hard. 19 of 27, 140 yards. He did have a touchdown, but the 2 interceptions. There were 5 turnovers total for this Bengals team. I mean, the Vikings defense was so incredible in this game, and I don't even know how much time we'll get to talk about it, but I feel
bad for Chase and Higgins.
Let me just say this, because when you was asking about what pep talk, a chant came to my mind.
Okay, give it to us.
Run the football. Run the football. 53 yards rushing today, 48 yards rushing in week 2, 46 yards rushing in week 1. There are 16 individual rushers in this league that have more yards than the Cincinnati Bengals team combined. I don't care who your quarterback is, whether it's Brett Rippon, whether it's Jake Browning, the Cincinnati Bengals have to find a way to establish a run game to help either one of these quarterbacks and take some of the pressure off of them.
And can I say something? I know that this is a National Football League, and I know Jake Browning has earned his way there, and there is an expectation. But he's been thrown in the fire. This Cincinnati Bengals team, they are built to have one guy at quarterback right now, and that is Joe Burrow.
I'm going to push back just a teeny bit here, only because with what we've seen out of Joe Burrow's injury status for 3 years now, like this is not an unfamiliar situation for Jake Browning to be in. Do you know what I mean? And
That's
so I get what you're saying. He's a
throwing to
backup.
Higgins and Chase too. Let's not forget about that. And he's got a good back in Chase Brown, who they can't run.
Well, you just sat here and said he's not a good quarterback, so it doesn't matter if you got Jamar Chase,
well,
you got Randy Moss.
I'm not making excuses for you. You're just proving my point to me. He's got Chase and Higgins, and he still isn't very good.
Like I said, if you can't get him the ball, like, it doesn't matter who you got out.
I mean, I feel bad for Chase and Higgins, although they did get paid, so you know what you're right. You got paid.
Yeah, I mean I'm gonna save that comment. And that wasn't even a Pete Prisco comment, but I'm gonna save it.
All right, so not feeling good about Jake Browning. I wonder how we're feeling about Carson Wentz. This is his sixth different team in the last 6 years, and yet he, like I said, he really didn't have to go out there and do much because the defense took care of business. But Rand, when you evaluate Carson Wentz and you think about the situation with J.J. McCarthy as well, how much more comfortable do you think Kevin O'Connell feels like with his quarterback situation?
I mean, it's a one-game sample, right? But I think now having called a game for Carson Wentz, I think Kevin O'Connell coming into next week will have a better understanding of what he can and can't do with Carson Wentz. But as well as he did today, just in terms of managing it, he didn't have to do anything spectacular because of the defense. I know we want to talk about Carson Wentz, but this is Brian Flores' dream.
Yeah.
To be able to have a quarterback that he can heat up, bring these multiple looks, these multiple disguises, these multiple blitzes, and everything that he likes to do up front with. Because even if it was Joe Burrow, Flores is going to find a way to heat him up. And now you get Jake Browning and an offensive front that couldn't block them. Good night.
Yeah, kiss it goodbye.
Yeah, special day for Isaiah Rodgers as well. We're going to talk about him later in the show. But, yeah, that defense certainly got after it. So tough sledding there for the Bengals and Jake Browning. But we're going to hit another break here on Game Day Recap. Still plenty to talk about, though, when you come back. As we continue our conversation, some big injuries happening in Week 3. We'll talk about the ones that will impact your team the most next.